This Pennsylvania band makes pulverizing deathcore music. You may know them from their song Pain is Pleasure, and their new album, The Dead Ones, comes out April 17th. Tyler from The Last 10 Seconds of Life, welcome to the podcast. How are you doing today?
What's going on, man? It's a pleasure to be here, brother.
Yeah, pleasure to have you on. Finally get this done. We've been having some technical difficulties, but time to move past that and get it
It was
going.
fun. It was fun. We
Yeah,
got
yeah,
it figured
it
out.
was a bonding experience, you know. Now that
Yes.
we've gone through that, we can get through anything. Um,
Yes, sir.
so I did my best there to kind of introduce you and the band, but like listening to it, you guys have kind of a very like unique sound. It's not quite like, you know, honestly, not quite like anything else I've heard. So I like to ask people, how would you kind of introduce the band to someone who hasn't heard you guys before? How would you describe the music that you make?
Well, we are a deathcore band. We have death riffs. We do some breakdowns. We're from the Northeast, where kind of like hardcore and death metal kind of originated and came together. But however, we do, even though we do sit in the deathcore atmosphere, we bring kind of like a little bit of a different energy with rock and roll, R&B kind of vibes to some of the riffs. We do a little bit, we do the down tempo kind of thing, but we do it in a way that's kind of more influenced by doom and rock, rather than maybe some other things like death metal. But that's kind of what makes Last 10 stand out. The original member and founding member, Wyatt McLaughlin, our guitar player, he has a pretty wide background in rock and roll and R&B. So he brings that kind of aspect of writing and scale usage and riffing to the deathcore atmosphere, and that's kind of what makes like Last 10 stand apart from a lot of other things.
Yeah, awesome, awesome. And so, I mean, you mentioned there Wyatt has his background. I'm sure you and the other guys in the band have your own backgrounds. How does that all kind of come together in the creative process? Like, what does it look like when you guys are making a song together?
Yeah, yeah. So, I play in a band called Promise Breaker. We've been a band for about around like, a little over 10 years at this point. That's a band with me and my high school friends that we made for fun. We kind of sit in the hardcore atmosphere a lot. We've played a lot with like hardcore bands from our local scene and from the Philadelphia area. Our drummer, he plays in a death metal band called Distension. And he plays in a band called Visceral Discord, and he played for bands like Rivers of Nile. So he has a pretty precise and fast background. He plays like really fast and very precise and consistent. And Our bass player, he kind of comes from like the Northeast, kind of like deathcore, hardcore scene, from like New York and New Jersey. So like he has a little bit of that kind of energy that he brings to the band. And whenever it comes together, we all kind of like bring our own flavors. Why it's got a little rock and roll, I've got a little hardcore beat down. Dylan's got the death metal thing going on, and Dylan's also bringing, his own vibe with his visceral death metal kind of deathcore energy. And so we all kind of feed off each other whenever we're in a room together. Wyatt is the primary songwriter, and so he kind of we all kind of feed off of what he gives to us and what we're vibing on him. But as far as this new album, I've been also influencing my songwriting abilities as well. So at this point, it's kind of like a good amount of me and Wyatt, and then Dylan and Drew, also just the four of us coming together. A lot of this new album, actually, we were writing together while we were out on tour, sending each other Google Drive links, Dropbox links, all of us writing little things, little trinkets, and sending it to each other and just feeling inspired by that. We'll even like, if we get an idea, we'll even like pull up our like voice memo app on our phones and be like,
Yeah,
like check this one out. I got an idea. This goes like din 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 din, and then like somebody will transpose it on their whatever. So it's like any way that we can come up with an idea, we come up with an idea, and all of us come from different backgrounds, so it all kind of meshes together.
yeah, yeah. I get it. I mean, I do some production stuff also, and the amount of like bad quality voice memos I have of me like beatboxing a beat idea on my phone, and it's crazy. It's probably most of my voice memos app.
Yeah, it sounds goofy. It's like a little. It feels like you're like a little crazy or schizophrenic or something,
Yeah.
you know. But like, you bring it back to the studio,
Yeah.
and you're just like, oh, let me cook here. Let me
Yeah,
cook. You
exactly.
know?
Especially in public when you're trying to like secretly do it on your phone, you're like holding
Yeah,
it up
yeah,
or like
dude. Yes.
leaning your head down. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy. It's awesome that you mentioned Rivers. I had Andy from Rivers on this podcast a while back, and that was a great time. And so,
Hell yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, I wanted to kind of dive even deeper into this album. I mean, let's just get into it with the latest single, Make It to Heaven, which I really enjoyed listening to. It was awesome.
Thank you,
Video
man.
is super cool too with
Thank you.
or the song in general is with Signs of the Swarm. So the name obviously hints at religion. Part of the video takes place in a church, and maybe this is more for Wyatt if he's the main songwriter, but at least for you or what you know, what is the kind of story with this song or like the like touching on religion, relationship with religion, things like that?
So in fact, I wrote that song in its entirety.
Oh, awesome.
I
Okay.
actually had to I taught Wyatt how to play that song on the guitar. And
Cool.
it basically it comes from I grew up in a very religious family and a very religious atmosphere. And it's you could I mean it is about religion but I in a general sense to me it means breaking the mold from something that has kind of put you in a cage. Any kind of mindset that is built around fear or control is just built around the idea that you are a pawn in something else's game, right? Or somebody else's game. And I
Hmm.
strongly believe in breaking those cycles and moving into mindsets that kind of set you free and allow you to live your life. Because I mean, as growing up and as everybody experiences their life, I'm sure at one point, you know, you kind of like do things you might look back and say, "Oh, I wish I would have done it that way. Wish I could have done this way." A lot of the times, what ties you down is fear. And so any of those mindsets that tie you back are usually based around fear. A lot of controlled and you know organized religion it's just based around fear, and they're old ideologies based on fear to control population. And so this song, I'll Never Make It to Heaven, heaven referring to the Christian heaven, but it's also kind of just a statement of I'll never be what you want me to be. I will always be myself.
Hmm. Yeah, that's awesome. I think it's super important because I think I mean even beyond religion, but especially that like a bunch of things kind of do work on this process of feeding on fear or like a fear of punishment, behave this way or like, you go to hell or whatever in the religious sense. But like
Yeah,
for there's so many different versions of it and just general like action to consequence um thing. So that's awesome. Yeah. And I meant no disrespect by the songwriting thing, it's
oh
just
no, no, absolutely. I mean, that's what
yeah.
I'm saying. I mean, I wouldn't have joined the band if I didn't think that Wyatt was a great songwriter. In fact, I think that he's the best in the genre. He's my favorite guitar player in deathcore, and that's why I joined the band.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. And I think like looking back at the credits, it was like all I'm like with most bands, like everyone's listed there. So definitely like communal and sharing, it's not very ego driven of like, well, I wrote this, so I'm the writer on it or things like that. And so which is I think the best way to run things. You do that and it can fall apart real real fast.
Oh,
Um
for sure, for sure. Ego
yeah,
is another one of those things that is based off of fear. It's a mindset that will tie you
yeah.
back. And whenever you tie things around ego and pride, you find that all of your relationships kind of start to fall apart.
Hmm. Hmm. Out of like ego and insecurity, also like the same thing.
100%.
You're doing these actions or projecting based off of what you are insecure or fearful of.
Yeah.
Um, which is such a lovely note to talk about music. But that's the great thing, using music. That's how I first fell in love with it and how I still try to use it now. Uh,
100%.
are you a music artist looking to get your songs on Spotify, Apple Music, and basically every other streaming platform? then you should check out DistroKid. DistroKid is a music distribution service. It's what I use to get all my music out across platforms, and I find it really helpful. You can manage your songs, lyrics, credits, and even manage releases across artists under one account. I don't think I would have gotten started as early as I did with music if it weren't for DistroKid. So if you want to get started, I'll put their pricing on the screen here. And yes, that does say the cheapest plan is at $2 a month. I know some of you spend more than that every day on your coffees. Like this is to get your music heard by the world. When we're getting off track, DistroKid has so many additional features like pre-save pages, getting your music onto platforms like Instagram and TikTok, where people can put your music on their posts. If you use my link in the description, you will get 7% off any of these plans, making it even cheaper to get your career started, and so much more. So again, check out my link in the description for 7% off any plan. And now let's get back to the episode. I also heard that or read that part of this album, uses all these cool guitar pedals and sounds partially inspired by Sun and bands like that who have this big like droning wall of sound vibe. What made that feel like the right fit for this album, or like how did you guys go about crafting the sound of this album?
The band has always been very doom oriented. It's been like influenced by bands that have kind of created the metal genre. Like, a lot of kind of bands like Black Sabbath that have originated that low, slow sound. So whenever we approach deathcore and death metal, rock, whatever you want to call it. You know what I'm
Whatever
saying?
you're making, the music.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever you're saying. Whenever it comes to us, we always like to look back in time and think, what was the heaviest thing that started this whole movement, right? And so low and slow stuff is kind of what created the whole dark atmosphere of this all kind of alternative music. And so when we approached this album, I think that it was important to us to just get the grimiest sounding fucking shit. Um, we we
Yeah.
we wanted the amp to sound really fucked up, as high gain as you can make it. We used a diesel amp. He used that Sun fuzz pedal. He also used an octaver pedal that made the guitar just sound absolutely kind of fucked up. We went through a bunch of different cabinets to find like the deepest and lowest cabinet that we could find. The bass just absolutely has a shit ton of gain, but at the same time, you can still hear the clank and the pick notes. So it was a really meticulous sound, like kind of a really meticulous. We actually took a whole day just figuring out the tones before we could approach what we were going to start recording because
Yeah.
because of the demoing process, we knew the exact tones we wanted to do. And so like all of those kinds of bands influences the way that we wrote the songs came down to the tone that we wanted to use and how we crafted the whole album, really.
Yeah. I mean, I respect putting that much like work and effort into it. Like you said, the meticulous like choice of it. Because also, I mean, with like recording anything, you do all that, get the tones like live to just sound good, or just to sound good into recording into the box, and then that's just less work like on a post-production side or a production side or adding all these effects. You can you're
100%.
you're gonna deal with it one way or another. It's just you want to do in the before or after recording.
True. And you know what, man? We have fun with it, Like it's
Yeah.
fun. Just like, this riff sounds cool through this amp. What does the next amp sound like? Oh yeah, fuck yeah, cool. That's cool. And we'll just like fuck around with the pedal, fuck around with the amp, find the cab. And then eventually it comes to a moment where we're all just kind of in the room like, oh shit, that's the one
Yeah.
right there, dude. And it's fun.
Yeah.
It's a cool moment. So it is a little bit meticulous. It sounds like work, but we're having fucking fun, man.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's just so much more satisfying and fun to like be doing all that and hear it in the room there versus having a bass part recorded and just like looping it, and you're like cycling through plugins or different sounds on like slapping that onto in the production process. So
Right.
um and so yeah, a bit more about the album for like as a whole, looking back on it. Was there any song that was kind of just really fast and easy to write, like came to you guys and just like all the pieces were in the right place?
I would say there's a song on the album called 1-800 Do You Want to Die? And that song has every element of the last 10 seconds of life that I absolutely fucking love. Whenever I got into the booth, first fucking day, it
Just
was
right
like
there.
that's the fucking one. Maybe a couple retakes on this one or that one, but like it was just one of those songs where Wyatt wrote the demo, I recorded the vocals, and like we were just kind of like, oh yeah, that's it.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. And on the kind of flip side of that, was there a song that was more of a long process, like needing a lot of
Yeah,
tweaks, things like that?
yeah, there's a song on the album called Stereo. And I actually that's another song that I wrote in its entirety. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that. Drew wrote the some of the intro and post chorus riff, but as far as I kept on revisiting it almost every day. I would do a take, come back the next day, and like it was one of those things where I would lay a song down and then I'd kind of be like, "Hey Grant, let's go back to this song. Let's go back to this song. Hey, I don't really like this. I don't really like this." And so it was like I was working on it ever since the day that I started working on it until the last day that I was in the studio. It was like, all right, do a song, finish it. All right, let's go back to stereo. Do a song. All right, let's go back to stereo. I kept on.
Yeah.
It got to the point where we would get done, and Grant would kind of look at me in the booth and be like, "We going back to that song?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, yeah, we're gonna go
Yeah.
back there."
Yeah, you
So
know it's coming.
sometimes it happens. Sometimes that
Yeah.
happens, and that's just a part of being an artist. Sometimes you do what. Sometimes it comes out easy, sometimes you got to pull that shit out of you. And
Yeah.
I like both of them. I like it when it's easy because obviously, hey, and that's fucking satisfying. There it is. But I also like the challenge of I didn't get this right. I need to.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Challenge, and
saying?
also just like there's a lot of there's no kind of sense of regret. A lot of my earlier stuff I was like so excited and just pumping it out fast, and then I listen back now, I'm like, oh, I should have done this there, could have added that there, and like you take a bit more time, it feels more whole. It's like, yeah, this is how it should be. Yeah, which is awesome. And fast, slow, and there's also one of my favorites, the surprise one where you're working on something and it's like, yeah, this is pretty good, and you go to sleep, you come back the next day and you listen and you're like, what is going on here? Who made
Yep.
this?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, man. All the time. All the
Just
time.
kind of the up and down of it.
Yeah. It's like you're working on it all night. You're like, fuck yeah, fucking jamming. You wake up and you throw it in you're driving to work or whatever. You put it on in your car, like this is absolute dog shit, dude. I gotta fucking work on that. Like it happens. It
Yeah.
happens. It's a part of being an artist. It's a growing
Yeah.
experience. You're always growing. You're never stagnant, and that's what I love about it, honestly, man.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And then now also for the physical side of this album, CD, vinyl, it's super super sick. I got sent some like pre-order links with all these vinyl variants
Hell yeah.
and everything. So take me into the process of like coming up with all these designs and the physical media side of the release.
So, we kind of like go through a meticulous process of like who do we want to go to, what do we want to do. There's always the point of while we're making the album, what if it's like this? What if it's like this? And then we'll talk about, what is the album? What are we talking about in the
Yeah.
album? You know what I'm saying? Like, what should it be whenever people look at the album? How do we want them to perceive it? Whenever it came to this one, it's called The Dead Ones, and it's kind of like it pays homage to all of the original fans and the people that have stuck with the band for so many years. And it also pays homage to all of the new fans that we have made in this new chapter and everybody in between and all of the old band members as well. There's kind of like an alumni of a band of Last 10. And we wanted to pay respect to those guys too. And so it's kind of like the album cover is like a whole bunch of different like kind of fucked up looking like characters, like kind of like
Yeah,
freaky
yeah.
looking
These little
people
like
on the album covers, right?
mhm.
And so it's kind of like, in a way, it represents everybody from there to here. It's big and small, every shape, size, everybody from everybody, so you, like me, everybody in the band, everybody that comes to the shows, we are all the dead ones together. And so that's what we felt like really represented the album, like as a whole.
Yeah, yeah, awesome. And it did kind of give this big like group vibe or things like all these classic like monster cliches of like kind of like zombie ragdoll looking vibes, which is
Yeah.
awesome. And yeah, I don't know if you already use it, but I mean, if not, the Dead Ones fan base name right there, like all your fans are the Dead Ones, like that's so
Yeah.
cool and just rolls right off the tongue. um so
That's
yeah, I
kind
mean,
of like what we're getting at with the whole album, like I said, it pays homage to all of those original fans, all of the new fans that we have, and the old band members, and everybody that we're going to meet along the way.
yeah,
All together as a community, we are the dead ones. This is the last 10 seconds of life, and that's us.
yeah, that's awesome. Hey heroes, sorry to interrupt that podcast episode, which I hope you are enjoying, but I wanted to tell you about my clothing line, Quest Clothing. Ever since I started really pursuing YouTube and music and all these creative things that I do, I've dreamed about starting this clothing line specifically. I had the name, I had the idea like for years before I started it, and now it's finally here. You can wear clothes like this. I have sweatshirts available, t-shirts, even clothing for like my music with cover arts and lyrics and things like that. It's all super, super cool. And right now is the best way for you guys to support me across everything I do. So be sure to check out the Quest Clothing web store with the link in the description and follow at Shop Quest Clothing on Instagram for updates about collections, discounts, things like that. Anyways, I don't want this self-sponsorship to take too long, so let's get back to the episode. I wanted to get into that. You like the last 10 seconds of life as a band name. You've just also been going by last 10. Like where did that name kind of come from and what does it mean to you or the band now?
Well, to be honest, it's from the Smiths song.
Mm,
Our guitar player Wyatt, he created the band, and he's a big Morrissey fan. He's a big Smiths fan. But as far as me, the song, like the band name, "The Last 10 Seconds of Life," kind of means like, in those final moments, what are you going to look back on? Kind of tie back into that idea with "Make It to Heaven," of breaking free of fear and mindset cycles that hold you back.
mm,
What are you going to think in the last 10 seconds of your life? Are you going to regret this? Are you going to wish you did that? Are you going to want to have done this differently? And so we kind of touch on a lot of those aspects in all of our songs that we've been writing. And, we talk about loss, we talk about struggle, we talk about hope, we talk about defeat, we talk about the system, we talk about religion, everything all together. It's going to all culminate to that final moment. And so you have to take life by the horns, you know what I'm saying? And
yeah.
I like to like quote our song "The Box." You want to go out into the fucking world and turn it upside down. Turn this world upside down. And make it your own.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. You're thinking back, think back to the last 10 show that you went to, and that's maybe not the best, but that's my attempt at a segue into the upcoming
Yeah.
tour you guys have got going on. I mean, I'm out of it from the hold up we had at the start. It's been a
Oh,
long
dude,
day.
it's all good.
It's
It
all right.
was a little bit confusing, a little bit disorienting, but
Yeah, no, it's all right. That and it's just been a long day in general, but we're here. I'm locking in. Upcoming tour with Traders and Nailed
lock in,
Shut.
baby.
Exactly. Right before the album release, going up to the album release. What are you kind of looking forward to with these shows?
Dude, well, I mean, like, first of all, main support, we have Traders, absolutely heavyweight, down tempo band from Florida. Remember the first time I saw them, I thought like, damn, this is like probably one of the heaviest bands I've ever seen in my life. So to have them out as main support with us, so stoked to see them come out and start rocking again. Big fan of theirs. Also, the Crimson Armada, it's one of those bands that I listened to whenever I was getting into the genre. And so the fact that Soda's still out here rocking and making music, I'm so excited to bring them out, to see them rock every night and have them play some of my favorite fucking songs for me and for the rest of the crowd and for everybody. It is going to be an absolute blast to watch those two huge bands that have made their footprint in the scene and in the genre and in the atmosphere itself. Just to bring them out, have them on the road with me, it's an absolute honor. As far as the openers, Nailed Shut and Flesh Prison, absolutely crushing. New, awesome. They bring an absolutely visceral kind of fucking sound that is going to shake the ground when they fucking play. I've watched lots of videos of them playing live. I've been listening to their released music. It's so sick. I'm excited to watch them absolutely like take the world by the fucking horns. I
Yeah.
there's some of those bands that I feel like they're doing it right. And I believe in them, and I'm glad that they're coming out with us, and they decided to come and rock with us for sure.
Yeah. I'm super happy that you're so invested in the openers and who you're going on tour with, and that you're getting something out of it too. I mean, that's awesome because that's a
Absolutely,
big
man.
thing. Just like the community of whoever's the touring group or the touring acts, like together backstage. So that's
I mean,
awesome.
it's a community. I mean, and
Hmm.
like it's the deathcore, metalcore, whatever you want to call it. I mean, I remember Scott from Carnifex said this, and it stuck with me. It's kind of like the bastard child of the music industry, and so it's like we're all just kind of dudes out here making this like weird, like niche kind of alternative music. And
Yeah.
so, whenever you think about it, man, like all we have is each other. We're all out here doing the same thing. We're all out here trying to make a buck, just like hanging out and trying to make it work, just rocking with each other. And so, yeah, it is a community. And, I cherish that. I value it. I like to see what everybody's doing.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. I'm reading a book kind of like on the history of the music industry and things, and a quote that I just read that like really stuck with me when talking about they were talking about like 70s kind of come up of Rough Trade Records and like all these alt labels, alt genres things. And I forget who they interviewed was talking about it, but he was like the popular music scene or like what's on the top 40 hits is not like what people necessarily would want when given other alternatives, when they hear this other music, when they hear other styles like metal, like alternative, whatever it might be, rock and roll. And
Right.
so that just gave me a lot of hope for like music discovery in general. And like,
Yeah.
there's listeners for every kind of music out there. I mean, like
Yeah.
especially nowadays, like some of the things I hear, I'm like, that's really cool from a production standpoint, and I respect it. Not for me necessarily, but you have a following, you're going on tours, doing things. So, yeah, it's sick, it's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah, and
That's pretty
not to.
cool. That's pretty sick though. And I to piggyback on that,
Mhm.
I believe that's still true. A lot of the big streaming services, they will push certain things, rather than the smaller artists. And it's really about like going out to see and diving into music to see what you actually you're into.
Yeah,
Me being in the genre, I see a lot of bands that are doing this and that, doing different stuff. But as far as somebody that is a deathcore or metalcore fan, they might, if they're not going out to shows and really paying attention, they might have a harder time. So I always say, go out to shows, check it out.
yeah,
If you find a big band that you like, go out to the show and check out the bands that they're out on tour with. And if you like those bands that they're on tour with, find bands that are kind of adjacent to that, on playlists, and just explore, check it out.
yeah. Yeah, I went down one of my favorite things. I think it was from the first concert I went to. I ended up going down such a rabbit hole from the openers that they had on the tour. So I went to see it was 21 Pilots, who I really love on their
Love 21 Pilots,
I
bro.
think, yeah, I think it was the Takeover tour that I saw them on. And So one of the openers was Jay Joseph, Tyler, another singer, Tyler. His brother was opening for them, and I was like, wow, he makes sick music too. Got into him, and he had this like making of video of showing making one of his songs, and then he's working with another band on that song, and I got into that band. And so exactly like you were saying, like the openers just
Yeah,
have so much, and now like all three of those are some of my favorite like artists and bands. Other that's
right.
JD also was the other one. Sick band. They do a bunch of cool
So
stuff.
sick. Hell yeah.
Um, yeah, and I think like you were talking about, like especially with platforms and streamers, discoverability is a huge thing, finding new bands and things. And I like I don't know how in the you are on the back end, but like 10 has gotten on a couple of Spotify playlists. Have you seen any kind of like big bump from that in discoverability, or put an effort towards like getting on playlists, anything like that?
Sometimes I see that kind of thing on like our socials or on our monthly listeners.
Hmm.
But I mean, like, to be honest, man, I'm just I'm just on the internet trying to post a cover of that. I don't
Yeah,
really pay attention too much to those kinds of things. Uh, I'm just a
probably
creator.
for the best.
I like to
Yeah,
make stuff. Every week I'm making a video of this or that and like or writing a song or something. So I try not
yeah,
to pay too much attention to those numbers because it'll distract from the quality of a time that I have of making the stuff.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, on another interview, I saw Russ, a rapper, talking about like kind of questioning why Spotify has like all these numbers on listeners and streams, whereas like Apple Music doesn't. And it's like, what his kind of line or thing is like, why are we putting a scoreboard on music? Like, why do I have to know how good 21 Pilots album did on release, or The Weekend on release? Like that used to always be
Man,
back end. Why is it not still back end?
fucking retweet, man. I really fucking I fucking like that.
Yeah.
I personally I don't use Spotify. I use
Hmm.
Apple Music. And that honestly, yeah. I don't like seeing the numbers, you know what I'm saying? I mean like
Exactly.
there's songs that have like, millions and hundreds of millions of hits, right? And they aren't making it to my playlist. However,
Yeah.
there are songs that have under 1,000 plays
Yeah.
that definitely are a daily spin on my playlist. You know what I'm saying? So it really
Absolutely.
it like I said, it goes back to our conversation earlier about dive in, find what you
Yeah.
fucking like. You know what I'm saying? Because like there's people out here there's somebody out there in their bedroom making music that is just for you, but you might
Yeah.
not know it unless you fucking explore.
Go find it. Yeah. And also
Straight
like
up,
make make
100%.
make friends who make music. If that makes sense. Because
Absolutely.
like
Absolutely.
I'm now in a circle with a bunch of friends. I'm pretty sure like all of us under like easily under 1,000 listeners, things like that, are right around there, and it's all like stuff that's really good. Or I show to people and they're like, man, this is good. And then I go to another like just friend of mine, they're like, this is good. And I'm like, yeah, like
Yeah.
the numbers also don't have to affect it, because it should be about the music and about what's actually coming out, not like needing any kind of barrier of or barrier, or even like attaching validation to it. Like more listeners does not mean better music or a better artist.
100%, I agree, and it kind of brings a little bit of a distortion to the whole community in itself, in and of itself. The numbers do
Mhm.
have a place, as far as like whenever you're putting together a tour and who you would
Yeah,
want to bring out to support whoever's big. If somebody's really crushing it, selling a lot of records, you know what I'm saying? Like there should be an appropriate kind of base of bands that are there to support. That way, that big artist can bring those other artists back, like those smaller artists up to where they're at. You know what I'm saying? So there is a place
yeah.
for these kind of things, but as far as like whenever I'm daily spinning, I don't need to look at those numbers, man.
As far as like, yeah, a random Tyler
Yeah,
or Joe in Idaho, like listening to the music, he doesn't have to like be tracking in real time how many streams the
yeah,
song
seriously,
has.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and then so I mean, back to the to the tour, not to like blow right past all the shows you are doing, but it like is kind of more of a lead up to the album release. Are there plans for anything like beyond that, continuing this kind of album cycle after it comes out, anything like that?
We have a lot planned, pretty much actually all the way into next year. But I mean,
Awesome.
I can't
Yeah.
really blow the lid off of
No,
anything. I can't
no
really talk
worries.
about it. But
Yeah.
I will say that we are planning on hitting a lot of different markets in the U.S. And Canada, and hopefully overseas. So if you see us announce a tour, make sure you get a ticket, come out to that show because we're going to be going a lot of different places, and we don't know when we'll be back. So come out
Yeah.
and hang out with us. I'm not a fucking, I won't rock star you. I like to hang out at the merch table. I like to chill. I like to have a drink. I like to party
Mhm.
with everybody. I like to have a good time and I like to make friends. So if we're coming around, come and check it
Yeah.
out. You know what I'm saying? We'll be there. We'll be there in a little bit. Just be
Yeah.
patient. Grab your ticket when you see us announce that shit and come out and fucking party with us, man.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. I ask, again, not to like make you divulge anything, but somewhat selfishly, because none of these dates are like right near me, and I was like, man, I wonder if they're coming to a city near me, and I can show up, hang out with Tyler at the merch table and things like that.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Well, where are you from?
I'm based out in Los Angeles right now for school, but also live back on the East Coast, visit back there sometimes. So
Right.
like
Well,
either coast if you're gonna.
right.
Uh,
We did just play in Pomona.
okay, awesome, awesome. Oh yeah, I'll keep an eye out for right around
Yeah, we
there.
we did just play. We played in Pomona probably like a month ago. So you missed that one,
Just
but
missed it. Yeah.
we probably will be back in more of like a probably a bigger market. Hopefully by the end of the year. We'll see. Again,
Cool.
I can't
Yeah,
spoil
yeah, yeah,
it.
yeah. Do not like. I'm not pushing you to do anything. Like share
But
or
dude,
keep to
if you see
yourself
us
whatever
come
you
out
want
there,
or
come and
need.
chill, man. Come and hang
Absolutely,
out.
yeah.
Come
That's
and
what
say
I'm
what's
hoping
up.
for. Yeah, yeah. And then I know we just kind of talked about the numbers side of it and maybe the negatives, but I couldn't help but notice, Pain is Pleasure is just like a bigger song of you guys and kind of what a lot of people know the band from. What
Yeah.
kind of if you know like what went into making that song and do you kind of how do you feel towards that song in general? Is it one of your favorites? Something you like playing live, things like that?
I have it tattooed on my arm right here.
Awesome.
That is probably, I think, in my opinion, it's probably one of the best heavy metal songs that was like ever written for this genre. I
Cool.
didn't record that song. That was the original singer Storm.
Yeah.
But Wyatt did write that song, and the tattoo on my body really kind of commemorates in respect to Wyatt and how much I respect him for writing such an amazing song, being such a great songwriter, my gratitude for being a part of the band right now. And honestly, it's one of the sickest songs that, I mean, in my opinion, will ever be
To ever
in the
be made.
catalog
Yeah.
of deathcore. And so it's an honor to be able to play that song, whenever we go out and play live. But that's what that song means to me. As I'm not the
Yeah.
songwriter, so Wyatt would probably have a different, approach to what he thinks about
Yeah.
that song.
Yeah. No worries.
I know that he loves that song too. But and I mean, like, Storm, he's on the new album. I know that was a huge deal to him too.
Is for the tattoo, does it just say pain is pleasure? Like what is
Yeah,
the
it just
tattoo
says it
design?
says yeah, it says pain is pleasure, and it has like
That's
a little skull with some cactuses on here to
awesome.
represent the
That's
Soul and Sims album cover.
yeah, that's perfect for a tattoo, like getting the needle and dealing with the pain of a tattoo, but pain is pleasure, and then you turn into art
Yeah,
on your body.
yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
And
also to me, it's more of like it kind of reminds me to, like, push through the struggle, you
hmm
know,
hmm
and
cool. Yeah.
learn how to enjoy whenever shit sucks.
Yeah.
Whenever shit gets bad, find something that you can smile about, turn
Yeah.
your pain into pleasure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Cool. And because you mentioned it like being, one of your favorite songs, one of one of the best deathcore songs out there. In a similar vein, if someone's listening to this, like getting into the band or hasn't heard of the band, what are some like essential last 10 songs that you would recommend they check out?
So I would recommend they listen to The Box. I would recommend that they listen to The Drip, and then I would recommend that they listen to Liberation.
Okay. Awesome. And then the new album once it's out, April 17th as well. Check out what they're doing nowadays, the new
Yes,
stuff.
sir. Yes, sir. Make It to Heaven. I would say that they should listen to fucking Make It to Heaven too, man.
Yeah. I mean you got my recommendation there. It's a great song. It's awesome. So
Thank you, sir.
and then again, I like doing all these flip side questions. So what's kind of a very like deep cut song from the band, a song that, maybe not many people know, but just has a special place in your heart?
A song called Heavy Headed.
Mm, cool.
It is like it Wyatt wrote that song, and lyrically it speaks to me very much, very much. And the way that Wyatt plays the riffs in that song, it brings emotions out of me that rarely songs in this genre ever make me feel, and songs in general. It's a genius song. It's definitely a different song whenever it comes to the last 10 seconds of life. It's not really like it's not really like a deathcore song. It's like a rock and roll song. But I mean, it's just it's just an insane song.
Yeah.
It's a deep cut.
Awesome.
I don't think the band's ever played that song live, but
Wow.
it's just one of those songs that every time I listen to it, I'm just like, that is one. That is one
Yeah.
song, man.
Awesome. Awesome. That's amazing. Yeah, I want to like, we're getting towards the end now, so I have a couple more like rapid fire questions to start wrapping things up. But I mean, that was a great answer, and I've loved all these answers and everything we've talked about so far. But but
I didn't fuck
for
up right yet, right?
yeah, no, you're good. But let's get into like some live show stuff. What was just like your first live show with the band, kind of once you joined and getting like your feet wet in performing with Last 10?
I think that my first show ever with the band was in Amityville, New York.
Mhm.
And man, it was tough because we played a really long set. We played stuff from all different parts of the discography, and it was a challenge for me because in my other band Promise Breaker, I play the guitar and I do the vocals. So I'm
Mhm.
kind of just I'm kind of used to just like I'm used to hiding behind my guitar, really, right?
Yeah.
So I'm used to jamming behind my guitar and looking at my frets and kind of working my pedals, and then like I would just kind of just stand there and do the vocals in a way. So whenever we started playing that show, I was like, oh fuck, like what do I do? You know
Yeah.
what I'm
Like
saying?
how
Like
do I
like
move
I don't
around?
I don't know I'm just kind of so it took me a minute to figure out how to become myself on stage, or to be comfortable with how what I'm doing and how I'm performing the song.
Yeah.
So that was that's yeah.
Yeah, awesome. I mean, yeah, great moment, and yeah, kind of a uh learning experience to like shift from guitar and
For
vocals to
sure.
like really being able to bring out the performance side of vocals
Yeah,
and
right.
get
Yeah.
lively on stage. Yeah. And then
Yeah.
kind of similar to that, is there any live show you've done that's just like your favorite in general? And you can have a bunch of
Probably
answers, no answer, or whatever it is.
there's a bunch of different shows that I would say. Um we played a headliner in West Virginia, I think it might have been on the last tour that we did, or the last headlining tour that we did with like Cell, Sabella, and Frail Body. And man, it was just packed. It was insane. The crowd reaction was wild. People were jumping off the stage and moshing, and they all knew the words. It was a good time. I think another one of my favorite shows that I've ever played were actually a few shows on this tour, but the Necromantium tour with Carnifex, Silence of the Swarm into the Grave.
Mhm.
LA, whenever we played in LA with Carnifex, that was that was one of the an unreal experience. To be on tour with Carnifex was an unreal experience in general, but just like going and playing to their hometown crowd in Los Angeles,
It adds a
unreal
whole
to
new
me.
energy to shows,
It
like
was there.
any
It
kind of
was
hometown thing.
like a whole amphitheater full of people. I looked out into that motherfucker like holy shit, and like we started playing and like the energy went off, and there was a circle pit over here and a mosh pit over there, and like it was like three different mosh pits happening at the same time, and I was like, I've only ever seen shit like this on YouTube videos. So like, that was to play a show like that, not only a show like that, but also to be on tour with some of my heroes was like one of those experiences where I was just like, this is peak to me.
Yeah, yeah, awesome. And I mean, those sound like great experiences. Awesome. Then you got those. If looking forward, is there any kind of bucket list of venues that you want to play with Last 10 one day?
I don't know. I don't know if I would say venues, but I would definitely say like I want to go and play in Asia, and I want to go and play in Australia.
Awesome.
I would love to play
Yeah.
Southern Asia. I'd love to play,
Just
China.
bringing
I'd
the
love
show
to play Japan.
internationally, like all over the world. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I'd love to just get a chance to experience those cultures, those those other, other parts of the world that appreciate the genre.
Yeah.
My friends
Awesome.
in Signs of the Swarm are out in Australia. They just did Japan, and I watched videos of them rocking those shows, and I'm just like, man, that is so fucking cool. And I really hope that, the band gets the opportunity to go and rock for those kinds of people for sure, all around the world.
Yeah, yeah, it's cool. It's cool from a you know, fan perspective, seeing that there are listeners and fans all over the world and people who connect with the music. But even just like the travel side of it seems awesome to me to go out and explore these like cities and countries that you're visiting while on tour.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. And so, I mean, I'm sure everyone in the band has their own answer and things, but since you're the one here, if you, Tyler, got the chance to like pick any dream collaborator on a Last 10 song, who would you want to work with? Like a artist, band, whoever.
George Corpse Grinder.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. To me, George Corpse Grinder is one of the sickest voices in death metal for sure. I don't care if that sounds like mainstream or cookie cutter, but
No, it's fine.
to me, one of the biggest albums that made me want to do extreme music was Kill. And
Mhm.
so like that to me would to have him sing on a song would be like, monumental
Yeah.
for
And
sure.
would that be like a duet or like trading off thing with you, or would you like take a backseat and just let him do his thing? Whatever. Whatever.
I would honestly just be like, dude, just you know, do whatever you want to do.
Yeah,
If you like this
I'm
part,
just
do it. If
here.
you like that part, do it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Fuck
that's
it, take
awesome.
the wheel, bro. I don't give a shit, man. Do your thing. You're a god amongst men, brother.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I think that might even be it. I have the last question that I usually ask people, but we kind of touched on it already. Is just like what's next, what's coming up for you guys. But we touched on plans coming up the rest of the year, album and some stuff around that. Feel free to add anything or none, but yeah, but thank you in general for coming on. I had a great time, and I hope you did as well.
Yeah, man. So I mean, like release tour coming from April 2nd to April 16th. We're gonna be out there playing a tour with Traders, Crimson Armada, Nailed Shut, and Flesh Prison. Album comes out on April 17th on Metal Blade Records. If you see us announce a tour, if you see us coming near you, get your fucking tickets and come and hang out with us because we want to hang out with you and we want to have a good fucking time. We want to make a lot of friends and we want to see
Yeah.
you every time we come around. And you know what? If we come around near you, you never know when we're going to be back. So come out and make it happen.
Yeah,
That's what
exactly.
I that's
It's more
all
than
that's all I'm
a
saying.
concert or a show. Come hang out with the band basically and like
Yeah.
meet them at the
Yeah, dude.
merch table.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's it. Well, thank you again so much for coming on. Feel free to shout out or promote anything for the band now. Where can people find you? Where can and should people listen to this new album once it's out?
Yeah, you can listen to it on any streaming service that you use, Amazon, Spotify, Apple Music, if you like YouTube Music, anything,
Mhm.
But check us all out on our own personal socials. I'm head.blown on Instagram. I'm also head.blown on TikTok. I do a lot of like, vocal covers. I post like vocal content here and there. Check us out on all our socials, follow us, keep up to date with what we're doing, and feel free to drop us a DM and say hello. And yeah.
Yeah, that's sick. Awesome that you're doing like covers still and all this stuff. Go check out all the personal pro. That's something still I have yet to do. I just looked at the main account to like get it in the know on you guys and do some research on this. But I mean now I'll go check out Head Loan and get fully immersed in the last 10 world, the last 10 universe.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I'm doing a bunch of projects. I make music, a lot of music with all my friends. It's not just
Hmm.
Last 10. It's
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Promise Breaker, it's Muck. I've played with a band called Sabella before. We're all a big community of people all making music with each other. So, dive in, check it out.
yeah, yeah. That's awesome. I just had I think it's not out yet, but I'm editing it. I think Mordeo was who I just had on this show, and we were talking about kind of this whole collaboration aspect or like multi being a part of multiple bands as a musician in like the deathcore or the metal scene.
For sure.
And they were talking about like, yeah, how much free time do I have and how can I get involved in another band to fill that free time? Because I feel like
Seriously.
everyone I talk to is like, yeah, I'm in 3 bands, 2 bands, 4 bands, whatever it is. So
That's how addictive it is. That's how much fun it is.
yeah, go
Just
check
want to keep
out
doing it.
yeah, go check out Last 10 Seconds of Life. Head Dog Blown with our Tyler socials everywhere and all the bands that he's involved in. And as we've kind of kept saying, explore from there. Go look through these other bands, similar bands. Tyler, thanks so much. I think this is
Thank you
now the
so
third
much,
time
man.
I've said it, but thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.